again on a human level. And I also really liked Thrag. He lived up to the hype. He is menacing, he is imposing, and he is by far the strongest character we've seen yet. We haven't even seen him so much as, like, feel the impact of something. Every blow that was landed on him, he allowed it time in order to assess the strength of Mark. And at every point, he just aura farms and lets him know that this is disappointing, this is underwhelming, and they stand no fucking chance. Even Space Racer, who has like the anti-everything weapon, Thrag doesn't even blink at it. It can one-shot Viltrumites, it fucking one-shots planets, and Thrag just...
You're back with our Elden stream. Where is it? Where is it? I forgot. Where is it? Where is it? कहाँ था यार? वो जगह कहाँ था जहाँ से ट्रांसपोर्ट करते हैं? अदर प्लेस. ये तो क्या? Yes, this is it. Yes, yes. There should have been a grace here, like. ये बार बार इधर नहीं आना ब्रो.
I'm not trying to get myself in trouble again, but I just want to fight and make money. I'm 36, you know, I'm not getting any younger.
From Sterling's 8 years of loyalty met with silence, to Rousey calling the UFC one of the worst places to make a living, to Jones, the greatest of all time, being offered the same check as a boxer nobody's heard of, the UFC fighters have finally had enough. Aljamain Sterling. Born in 1989 on Long Island, New York, to Jamaican immigrant parents, Sterling didn't grow up with a golden path handed to him. He wrestled in high school, dabbled briefly in college, and made his professional MMA debut in 2012, fighting through smaller promotions on sheer will alone before the UFC came knocking in 2013. His debut came against Cody Gibson, a quiet entrance for a man who would one day be champion. But Sterling was never just a fighter. He was a technician, a grappling specialist with slick back takes, seamless transitions, and rear naked chokes that looked almost surgical. He climbed methodically through the bantamweight division, earning a title shot against TJ Dillashaw in 2018, fell short, rebuilt, and finally claimed the bantamweight championship in 2021 at UFC 259 by submitting Peter Yan in a performance that was controversial.
Bro, I don't want to kill him with my finger.
He went on to defend the belt twice against Yan in the rematch and against Sean O'Malley before O'Malley captured it in 2022. As of early 2026, Sterling's UFC record is 16 forward, with victories over elite competitors like Corey Sandhagen, Pedro Munhoz, and Henry Cejudo. 8+ years
Doesn't give me anything. What?
champion, and still not making what he believes he deserves, because in 2026, Aljamain Sterling isn't measured in his frustration anymore. He's done measuring. During a sit-down with Ariel Helwani, Sterling unloaded everything he'd been carrying. The conversation turned to Zuffa Boxing's reported $15 million deal for Conor Benn, a figure that landed on the UFC roster like a grenade. Sterling didn't dodge it, he detonated it. He pointed out a painful and almost absurd irony. The same organization raking in $7.7 billion from a single media deal with Paramount couldn't produce a single fighter who had ever commanded $15 million for one fight. Not one. Not in all the years fighters have been building this sport, sacrificing their bodies, their time, their mental health, their families. Not one has seen a number like that. Meanwhile, an outsider steps in for one boxing match and gets what no UFC champion has ever received. There is no negotiating, Sterling declared, words that hit harder because they came from someone who has been through the system, played by its rules, and wore its championship belt. He didn't accuse the UFC of malice so much as a deeply broken structure, one that leaves fighters supplementing their income with side jobs while the promotion quietly expands into a billion-dollar media empire.
I'm not trying to get myself in trouble again, but I just want to fight and make money. I'm 36, you know, I'm not getting any younger.
At 36 years old, still competing at the highest level, Sterling isn't making idle noise. He's speaking from 8 years of experience, from being the guy who clawed his way to the top and looked around and still saw a broken system. His 2026 stance is one of impatient realism, respect for what the UFC has built, coupled with a demand that it stop treating it as an afterthought.
It's somber stone sticks.
Mechanic. He's a former
Fucking somber stone sticks. Where could I get it? Shit, where can I get it? Bro, what do you do now, bro? Let's fight the fucking rod trick. There was a rod trick in somewhere. It's somewhere here, right?
former champion demanding to be valued like one, but the next man on this list takes a slightly
Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and I'm here to tell you guys to stop using the chat GPT. Now look, like I made a video 3 weeks ago where I told you guys to stop using Google, and I walked you guys through the steps on how to set up Docker on your system, install CRXNG or dgoog, and instead of using google.com, which, you know, use it if you want, but I showed you how you can set up your own search engine on your own computer without the ads, all the blackjack and hookers what you want, and actually search the internet and get the stuff you're looking for. Now, one of the things that I've started to see on the internet that really like burns my brains out is a lot of people on the internet kind of share these videos where they're like, guys, download Perplexity Computer and use it system. You know, a lot of people are downloading these tools where you're basically letting these big tech companies full access into your system, and they're basically installing.
Oh, bro, that's it's brutal. What?
On your computer. So what that basically means is, again, their AI models are connected to a software on your computer, and the software basically runs around clicking things and doing things for you. So let's say you download this tool and you're like, hey, I want you to research something on the internet and write a nice document for it and save it on my desktop. It'll walk through the whole thing. However, I think it's fucking creepy that we're trusting these big old companies that really don't care about you and me. Pull access into our system. You are goatsy, sir. Here it is. Now, I'm going to walk you through what I think is pretty cool. You know, running these AI things on your system. You know, AI is not something we're going to get rid of, but I think it's my civic fucking duty in life to teach even the biggest dork out there how to use this shit without giving up all of your information to like 3 fucking companies, okay? Simple as that. Now, this is not the only software. There's also quant computing as well too. There's so many different agentic AIs that exist now that are all partnered with these companies that make me kind of wonder, you know, just what the end goal is, right? Like, keep connecting your shit to the system without realizing that you have it all turned off. In fact, obviously, to an extent, you've also got things like ChatGPT Desktop, which isn't even as like advanced, I would say. Basically, just a little application where you can upload your files, all that crazy shit right here. So that being said, what is the alternative? What do I do? Well, you guys know that you can run a lot of these models on your local system anyway. So to walk you guys through, I'm going to call the easiest method to getting this going. So there's a bunch of AI servers that exist out there. One of them that you can download is something known as Olama. So you go to their website and generally speaking,
Bro, stop running.
depending on what operating system you have, you can paste this into your computer terminal, which if you have a Mac or a Linux system, it's as simple as copying this, opening up a fresh terminal down here, pasting that shit in, and entering it. Now, you might be like, well, should I trust this script?
Hey.
It's your right. Remember, be careful with whatever the fuck you're running on your system. But basically, down over here, you download their model, and you can, or you download their application. You can install whatever one of these models you want, okay? You want access to Quen 3.6, you go to Quen 3.6, and you follow the installation instructions to install this specific model on your system. You can see they tell you the size, they tell you how much context you can and even what kind of information you can give it. Now, when you look through an image and you give it text information, it'll tell you all of that stuff right here. So I think there's a little bit of an easier model that exists out there. One of them is LM Studio. Now, this is not something that's open source, so for a lot of people whose issues kind of derive there, unfortunately, this is probably one of the easiest options. So I'm going to use it for the demonstration in this video alone. So basically, the simple aspect of it is the website.
Oh, wait.
System you have. I'm on Linux. You download it for Linux. It installs somewhere on your system, and of course, you can launch it through an application just as you would expect. So on Linux, I can install this app image, basically one single file, about 1 gigabyte in size. Right-click, run that shit, and boom, Bob's your uncle. Here it is. So one of the things that
No flash.
people need to understand is when it comes to these local AIs, they come in all range, shapes, and sizes. So one of the most important things you have to notice over here is the amount of parameters these models have. So in a lot of ways, you'll see things like 35B, 31B, E4B, A4B. I mean, like, what is this number scheme, Buddha? Well, it's about as simple as saying the words 31 billion parameters, okay? Now, how much resources do you need to run something like a 31 billion parameter model? Well, surprisingly, you need a fair bit of VRAM. So how do you figure out how much VRAM you have? Well, you identify what your GPU is in your computer, and from there, you can do a simple Google search and check online and see how much VRAM you have. Or you can download something like GPU-Z or a GPU monitoring tool like I have. So check this out, boys.
Hey, soldier.
On around 23.9 gigs of VRAM. I'm using about 15.6 gigs right now. because I actually have one of these models loaded to begin with. So for this demonstration, I'm simply just going to go to Steam's hardware survey. I'm going to check basically this month and see that the most used GPU that they kind of have is an RTX 3060. So in some ways, that is, I guess, the most common GPU, which I don't know the percentage, but GPUs exist in so many different vendors that the quality is highest percentage of users for that specific GPU. It does say that a lot of people have around 8 gigs of VRAM. That's basically which is surprisingly not that much for the models, which actually it's less for the models that I really want to show you. But I'm going to assume that the 3060 is kind of true. And if the 3060 is true, that's coming at with 12 gigs of memory. Now you need about 12 gigs of memory because loading in these models and getting them to do the work you want will require roughly that much GPU, roughly that much space. Now assuming you only have, let's say, 8 gigs of VRAM like over here, basically you want to download a model. Now this is a website known as Hugging Face, and Hugging Face is a place where I want you to think of it like the big old download.com. God, that's an old fucking term. Of a lot of these models.
Oh wait, bro, I rolled. Come on.
On their model list, and as long as you can sort of see what they've got over here, this is some of the stuff that's new. You can see they've got 2.8 million models, okay? Now these models come in all shapes and sizes. Some of them do text to image, or some of them like generate things for you. Some of them can generate videos. Some of them are just simple text to text generators. Some of them are even obliterated models. So for instance, you don't just download from this website right over here. Basically, what you want to do is when you go back to LM Studio, fire that program up, and basically click on this little like search button. And on the search button, you can download whatever you want. So for this video over here in this demonstration, I'm going to show you something called Quen 3.5 9 billion parameters. About 1.4 billion people have already uploaded this, and it's pretty fairly recent. So in order to make this video work, it's kind of piggybacks off of my video where I teach you guys how to use Sphere XMG, which is this local search engine on my computer. Now the way that this local search engine was set up, it allows artificial intelligence to tap into this idea for useful results, simply because I allowed Sphere XMG to use something known as JSON format. So when I go back to LM Studio, for instance, I can go to this tag right here, the developer portion, and where it says mcp.json, if you set this up, so realistically, you want to copy what I have over here. In fact, you look up mcp Sphere XMG just to set it up yourself. But basically, once you kind of copy this, it'll allow your actual AI to use that Sphere XMG as a tool. Basically, it'll do those searches for you and research the internet.
So annoying, bro. You're so annoying.
So basically, the way you load it
Come here, bro.
big load button model, you downloaded it, and you see that I already actually have models that I downloaded. So the one that I
Bro, he's so annoying. What the fuck?
Opus 2.
It goes hard. Cool. Okay, let's see how it goes. Bro, I'm running out of flask. Shit, it's hard. Bro, I'm gonna go. I have to sleep.